Good morning and welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be going over 5 things every gold maker must know. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. Okay, so today we are going to be going over 5 things that every gold maker must know. We'll be going over some general advice and or tips in order to try and make you a little bit better as a gold maker. It's primarily a video constructed for beginners, but also some people may overlook some of these things and fall for some of these mistakes that you can also make within this video. Other than that, guys, let's just jump into number 1, which is number 1 is how to use TSM and how to use it really. Now, that being the case, what the thing is when it comes to like TSM and all that, when we actually suggest, oh, you're going to want to use TSM, some people actually come to me and sometimes I actually get DMs saying, how do I use TSM? And quite frankly, there is multiple guides online about how to use TSM and all that stuff, but not a lot of people are actually well versed when it comes towards TSM. They know the basics of how to post stuff and just a little bit on how to craft stuff. Now, that being the case, that is enough to get you by, but you will need to learn a little bit more how to actually use it, i.e. you could use your shopping actual part in TSM, how to use your mailing, and also coming up with your own different types of strings in order to work out what you're really going to be doing. When it comes to like in relation to like crafting, you may want to change up a few strings and make some custom price sources in order to actually come up with better values for yourself on how you're going to do it. You could also like change custom prices for certain different things. What you'll be wanting to do is just learning your custom price sources, how to use your mailing, crafting and all that jazz. You really don't need to learn stupid amounts, but it's good to get a nice baseline on how to use TSM, and it will help you very much in the long run when it comes to like other people's guides. Now overall, if you really wanted to learn TSM, the best person for this is Samadam. He does really in-depth guides when it comes to TSM, and he's helped me out a lot when it comes towards TSM because, to be quite frank, I was not that much very big on crafting and mailing and all that stuff. I was still using old ways and I was very stubborn about it. If you remember at the beginning of the year, I was like, I just want to just post it myself. But in all actual fairness, the system for TSM is brilliant. It's just the learning curve for it is a little bit trickier than usual, and I found that Samadam explains it in a very in-depth and a great way. So moving on to this, that is knowing how to use TSM at number 1. And at number 2 is a general piece of advice for every gold maker, is don't reinvent the wheel. So what I mean by this is no convoluted ways. And like when you're approached to gold making, like just say you're like a gatherer, you don't want to make things over complex and just try and build something from the ground up. So like take TSM for instance. Do you really want to spend all day setting up your TSM groups and operations when someone's already built it that works, when you could just import that and just get crack-a-lacking and get to it? The same thing goes for like farming, for instance. Has an approximation of what you'll get per hour based upon different types of averages of multiple different farms. Do you really want to test out other farms when it's already giving you those approximations, or would you just want to go for the highest value one and just get farming? It's all a matter of either wanting to reinvent the wheel to come up with like some weird convoluted way of making gold when you could always use someone else's system that you know works and then just go do that, because that will probably yield you more gold than building something from the ground up that probably won't net you all that much at all. So what I'm saying is don't overthink it and don't try and build something from the ground up if something or a system is already in place for it to help you. So just make use of the assets that you have. Now coming in at number 3, we have focus on one market and then expand. Now this one is if you're getting into farming or in general any type of different market. So what I mean by this, and we'll take a nice example of gathering. Now with gathering, a lot of people look up like loads of farms, and I was guilty of this in the past as well, and that is like looking at multiple farms and going, oh, what would I want to do? And I spend more time overthinking and just doing partial farms. And when I mean partial farms, I mean I don't do like a full hour. I'll do like half an hour of something, then I'll do 40 minutes of something, and all of that stuff. And overall, what I found is if I diversified too early and I don't have enough supply, you would easily run out of that stock. So what I would recommend is I go with a simple method, and that is 3 hours of one material, and then I move on to the next, and then I rotate round. I rotate it all around, and I usually go through like kata herbs and the current content stuff, and I really go back round it all again in a nice loop, and just keep that supply on the auction house, because the more variety I have, the more sales I'm going to get. But if I expand too early, I'll run out of my stock before I finish my rotation, and then I'll essentially not get as much gold as I would. And that is something you may want to bear in mind right there. If you are getting into a market, is focus on one at a time, and then once you understand it and you've got a good supply, then move on to the next one to expand. Other than that, let's just jump into number 4, and that is utilizing your time effectively. Now, I know a lot of people have day jobs, and I myself have a day job as well, and I still manage to find time to do different types of things. And it's all about time management when it comes to like gold making. You really want to spend an hour's worth of your time farming for like 10,000 gold per hour, or would you be best served spending 10 minutes to go into Vortex Pinnacle and farm up a load of volatile air, then log out and then get on with your other stuff during the day, then just come back in and do another one of that. It's all about how you deal with your time and how you would structure it out in order to maximize the amount of gold. It really is a case of time management and learning to work all of that out. Now for me, I have whiteboards that organizes all of my stuff and what I plan on doing, and this is exactly the same process as how I schedule all my videos for making my videos and what ones I'm going to be doing and all of that stuff, and it just keeps you on track of where you are as well. So learning at least a little bit bare minimum of time management will help you very much in the long run. Coming in at number 5 and last on our list is excessive farming. Now, excessive farming is farming up one particular item so much that you aren't diversifying, you're just stuck in one market. Say that you picked something like Cinderbloom, for instance. Now that sells moderately well, it's an okay material, but say you did hours upon hours of it, like 1 hour every day, so throughout the week, and then that's it. All you do is farm Cinderbloom. Really going to start seeing some noticeable effects after a couple of weeks, and that is because you've got so much of a supply of Cinderbloom on the auction house through your excessive farming of one particular item, and therefore you will actually see a price drop increase because there's so much supply of that one item on the auction house. So what I would actually recommend for that, if you are excessive farming, is only posting a bit of it on the auction house and keeping some in your bank, or the most logical way is to actually do that rotational method which I mentioned earlier, which would be 3 hours of one item, then 3 hours of another item, then 3 hours of the next one, and just rotate it around where you get back to it. Because at the end of the day, if you're just farming one item, you're really handicapping yourself when it comes to like going into other different types of markets. If you over farm something, you're just going to bring the price down, and it's not good for anyone who actually wants to farm that item. And essentially, if you bring the price down, then your gold per hour that you had at that time is not going to stabilize. So what I'd say is post in reasonable amounts on the auction house. If you are going to farm a load of an item, like 10 hours worth of whiptail or something, post a reasonable amount, and then just do that once that sells, and then resupply after it sells, resupply, and all that stuff. So that's something that you may want to bear in mind right there. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much all I have to say for 5 things every gold maker must know. Have a lovely rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow.